All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the biggest magic tricks in modern tech. It's something that powers pretty much everything, from your social media feed to global financial systems. It's the secret to making sense of just unimaginable amounts of data.
I mean, really think about that for a second. We're generating more data than ever before. We're talking petabytes of the stuff. And yet somehow we can ask these incredibly complex questions and get answers back almost instantly. The secret, it turns out, isn't just about raw processing power. Nope. It's about a fundamental shift in how we even approach the data. The real trick isn't reading the data faster. It's mastering the art of not reading it at all.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big problem, why this is even a thing. Then we'll dive into the revolutionary idea of columnar storage. After that, we'll zoom in, layer by layer, from skipping huge folders of data down to skipping tiny chunks inside a single file. And finally, we'll uncover the one secret that makes the whole thing tick.
To really get the solution, you have to understand the problem first. For decades, the main bottleneck in data analysis wasn't the speed of your computer's brain, the CPU, but the speed of getting data from storage, from the disk. I want you to imagine trying to drink an entire lake through one tiny little straw. That's the I/O bottleneck. And that's exactly why the old way of doing things just completely fell apart.
See, traditional databases, what we call row stores, were built for transactions. Think about updating your user profile on a website. They store all the info for a single record right next to each other. But for analytics, you don't care about one person's whole profile. You want to know the average sales price across millions of transactions. A row store would have to read every single piece of data for every single transaction just to pick out the one little number it needs. It's unbelievably wasteful. And this, right here, is where the big shift happened. The first key insight was, hey, instead of storing data by row, what if we stored it by column? So all the values for sales price are stored together, one after the other on the disk. This simple change in geometry is the foundation of pretty much all modern analytics.
And just this one idea gives us three incredible superpowers. First, I/O elimination. If your table has 100 columns, but your query only needs 2 of them, well, you only read those 2. You physically ignore 98% of the data. Boom. Second, compression gets way better because you're storing similar data types together. And third, it unlocks something called vectorized processing. Now that's just a fancy way of saying that modern CPUs can work on big chunks of similar data all at once, instead of one piece at a time. It's like painting a wall with a roller instead of a tiny little brush. It's just so much more efficient.
So just how big of a deal is that compression? We're talking a typical 10 times reduction in size. This doesn't just save you disk space, which is nice, it effectively multiplies your I/O bandwidth. It means you can pull 10 times more information off the disk in the exact same amount of time.
Okay, so we're only reading the columns we need. That's a huge win. But what about the rows? How do we avoid scanning billions of rows inside those columns? Well, our first level of data skipping is the biggest and maybe the most powerful. We're going to skip entire folders of files. This is the technique called partition pruning.
So the basic version is called static partition pruning. Just imagine all your data is organized into folders by year. If you run a query for data where the year equals 2023, the engine is smart enough to not even look inside the folders for 2022, 2021, and so on. It's super simple and incredibly effective. But it has a major weakness.
And here's the catch. What if your filter isn't directly on that giant table? This happens all the time in analytics. It's called a star schema. You might be filtering for sales in California on a tiny stores table, but that table is linked to your massive petabyte-sized sales table. The engine has no idea which sales partitions belong to California, so it has to scan the entire giant table. It's a disaster for performance.
And this is where modern systems get really clever. With dynamic partition pruning, or DPP, the engine doesn't just give up. First, it runs a super quick query on that small stores table to find the store IDs for California. Then, and this is the cool part, it uses that result as a dynamic filter, telling the sales table scanner exactly which partitions to read and which ones to just totally ignore. It literally builds the map on the fly. And the impact of this? It's not some small improvement. It is a genuine game changer. Standard industry benchmarks show that for these super common queries, DPP can make them up to 18 times faster. This one feature totally changes the economics of data warehousing. It makes queries that were once impossible totally fast and affordable. Okay, so we've skipped entire folders. That's huge. Now let's zoom in a level deeper. What about the files we do have to read? Can we be lazy inside them too? Oh, absolutely. This next level of optimization is called predicate pushdown.
The key idea here is this. Instead of the query engine reading a massive chunk of data into memory and then filtering it out, we push the filter, the predicate, which is really just the where part of your query. We push it down to the storage reader itself. So the reader uses metadata stored inside the file to decide which blocks of data it should even bother reading and decompressing in the first place.
And the reader has a whole toolkit for this. It uses simple stats, like the minimum and maximum value in a block of data, to see if your target value could possibly be inside. For text columns, it can check a dictionary. And for finding those specific needles in a haystack, it uses a really clever tool called a bloom filter. You can think of a bloom filter like a bouncer at a club. It can't tell you for sure if your friend is in the club, but it can tell you with 100% certainty if their name is not on the list, saving you the trouble of even going inside to look.
This table really shows the trade-offs perfectly. Min/max stats, also called zone maps, are fantastic for range queries on data that's already sorted, like dates. Bloom filters, on the other hand, they absolutely shine when you're looking for an exact match, like a specific user ID, especially in unsorted data. Yeah, they cost a little more in storage, but their power is just undeniable.
How undeniable?
Well, for those lookups where you're trying to find one specific user ID in a trillion-row table, just enabling bloom filters can result in a staggering 30-fold speedup. It transforms a brute force scan into a surgical strike, telling the query exactly which blocks it can safely and completely ignore.
So we've seen how to skip folders and how to skip blocks inside of files. But there's this question that's kind of been lingering. What makes all of this stuff actually work? What's the secret sauce? The final piece of the puzzle is the one that ties everything we've talked about together.
This right here. This is the core thesis of high-performance analytics. All these clever tricks, the statistics, the filters, the pruning, they're completely useless if the data itself is a total mess. It's like having a brilliant librarian and a perfect card catalog for a library where all the books are just thrown in a giant chaotic pile on the floor. The metadata can only describe the data. It can't fix a messy layout.
And it all comes down to something really simple: sorting your data, or what we call clustering. If your sales data is sorted by date, then the min/max stats for each block of data are going to be very narrow and very distinct. A query for a specific day can then skip 99% of the blocks. But if that data is unsorted, every block will have dates from all over the place, making those powerful min/max stats completely and utterly useless.
But okay, what if you need to filter by date and by region? Simple sorting doesn't really work for multiple dimensions, and that's where advanced techniques like z-ordering come in. It's this really clever way of kind of weaving the data together, almost like shuffling two decks of cards, so that rows with similar dates and similar regions are physically stored close to each other. This makes those min-max stats effective for filters on both columns at the same time.
And that really is the big takeaway from all of this. The entire field of modern data analytics is built on a philosophy of what you could call intelligent laziness. Performance isn't about brute force. It's about the clever, systematic avoidance of doing work. By structuring our data the right way, we enable all our tools to skip almost everything, homing in only on what truly matters. So that kind of leaves us with a final thought. If the magic of querying these immense datasets isn't some incomprehensible, complex algorithm, but is really just the elegant application of fundamental principles like sorting and skipping, what does that mean for the future? What does it imply for the next generation of data tools and even for the AI models that are built right on top of them? Maybe the next big frontier isn't about processing more, but about truly understanding what to ignore. Thanks for watching.